Now, before we get to the topic at hand, that is Dave Helman, NFL insider covering the league for the last decade plus. This is the brilliant, as always, Joy Taylor, and my former teammate, lifelong friend, LeSean Shady McCoy, Eagles all-time rushing leader. Before we talk about Lamar Jackson, Shady, why do you have a tissue on the handle of your cup?
It's hot. Yes, it's joint hot.
Like the point of a handle is to protect you from the heat, and you literally have a tissue on the handle of the cup.
Nah, it's real hot.
Hot. Now, I am good. Okay. Speaking of heat, it's getting turned up in Baltimore because Lamar Jackson has missed 32 days of practice, Joy Taylor. That is no small deal. That is a huge issue. But is Lamar Jackson's contract an issue for the Ravens?
No, this is not an issue for the Ravens. I consider this to be a really good problem. Some things you just want to buy, right? like a house, you know?
It's true.
Like a car that works, that can fit the whole family and get you from A to B, take them to school. There's things that you should be planning on buying in your life, that you should be planning on investing in your life,
where you're going.
that you should be budgeting for,
I like where you're
for your
going.
future. What else do you have to spend money on besides a franchise quarterback? I do not understand this conversation. It befuddles me. It's what happens.
Befuddles.
It does. It's what happened with Dak. Everyone, how are we going to pay Dak? I don't know. Maybe you should have been budgeting for this when you were paying him a fourth-round rookie contract, which is nothing.
Talk about
and
it.
he was winning all those games and playing at that level then. Well, I don't know how we're going to be able to sign players. How did you sign players before? Everyone else manages to do it. The Rams have a secret Swiss bank account. They pay everybody. Figure it out. Now, I know, just like anything else, all capologists are not made the same, just like all coaches aren't made the same and all players, and there's levels to everything. But this is a good problem to have. I don't have any sympathy for organizations who have talent like Lamar Jackson, who just simply don't know how they're going to make it work. What are you talking about? This is the only position you should want to pay. Like, this should be like, dream one day of writing that check to the franchise quarterback. It's the dream. You got it. Here it is. Here's the house. Write the check. Move on with your future. I don't understand why this is a bad thing.
But, Joy, everybody has that dream house. I recently moved into mine. But before there was ever a dream house, there was a budget. You know that, Joy. Everybody got a budget. And that dream house might be limited by that budget. I was looking at homes, Beverly Hills, Hollywood Hills, Hidden Hills, and I couldn't look at all the houses I wanted to look at, Joy Taylor, because I was living life on a budget. This contract issue for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, I think it's an issue. And I think it's an issue because it better be an issue. The Ravens do not need to pay Lamar Jackson a fully guaranteed deal. And Lamar Jackson, more importantly than the Ravens, does not need to take the field again until he has some fully guaranteed money. LeSean McCoy, I think it's a huge issue because the Ravens don't want to budge, and Lamar Jackson better not budge. Where you stand?
Yeah, it's a big issue. I truly believe that. I mean, like, this is your MVP quarterback. Teams would love to have a guy like Lamar Jackson, an MVP caliber type of player. So it's a big disconnect. Lamar wants a fully guaranteed contract, something close to Deshaun Watson. The Ravens came out and said, the management said, we're not doing that. So, but there's always give and take. On my contract negotiations, the first one, Andy Reid, me and him actually did the contract. Jerome's house was my agent, but me and Andy's like, hey, listen, I wanted like an extra $2-3 million. He looked at me like, buddy, listen, I'm gonna give you extra guarantee. Let's just work it out. And we did that because I wanted to be there, and he wanted me there. It looks like Lamar wants to be there. He wants to be a Raven. Let's think about it for a second. Who are the Ravens, right? After that Super Bowl, who have they been? They've been Lamar Jackson. Everybody loves to talk about Joe Flacco, what he's did for the organization. What did he really do? He got hot for a couple games. Yeah. The defense really won that championship. He made a couple plays. One Pro Bowl, no All-Pros, threw for 4,000 yards one time. Lamar Jackson is the key. When we look at this team, they win with Lamar Jackson, right? Ravens are 45-16 when Lamar's playing. That's like 75%. He wins his games. That's crazy. So they got to pay him. Their whole organization has only been one MVP. You know who that is? Lamar Jackson. When the kids come to Baltimore to watch the games, who are they coming to see?
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson. See, it's one part to winning games and getting a championship. That's the main goal. But there's a business part of it. When we had certain players, Deshaun Jackson, LeSean McCoy, we selling jerseys and we winning games. Lamar Jackson's doing that even more. Selling more jerseys and winning more games. You got to sign this dude. So whatever you got to do, work it out, get the contract together, give a little bit, take a little bit, however you got to do it. Get this guy a contract.
My favorite thing when LeSean refers to himself in the third person.
Hey, if you're all pro, I feel like you can get away with it, though.
You got to pass. Dave Helman was Lamar's contract issue for Ravens.
Here's the thing. To be clear, I would pay Lamar Jackson.
Me too.
I wouldn't hesitate to do it. I think he's one of the 6 to 10 best quarterbacks playing the game right
Blue
now.
Bills.
Absolutely would pay him. But it is a huge issue. You could argue it is the only issue for the Baltimore Ravens right now. Like, they have to figure out if this is something they want to do, and they have to find a way to make it work. And we already know that it hasn't been working. Like, we talked about this throughout the offseason. It was a point of contention all the way up till the start of even the regular season. Remember, it feels like ancient history, but Lamar set that deadline. If it wasn't an issue, he would have a deal. Patrick Mahomes, that thing got signed. We didn't even know he was eligible. We were like, oh, damn, he can sign a new deal? And he had already signed it because there was no question.
Exactly.
There's clearly a question of whether they want to do it to let it go this far. And again, I love Lamar Jackson. I would pay him. But in a negotiation, you're looking for reasons not to. Are you not? Mm-hmm. I assume the Baltimore Ravens, or at least you're looking for reasons to sign at your price.
Yeah,
your price, right?
Great point.
They always do that, though.
He's missed 9 games in the last 2 years. That's 27% of the games that the Ravens have played. And by the way, when he's been out, they've been one of the most forgettable teams in the league. Certainly the most forgettable playoff team in the league. You could argue that for and against Lamar, by the way. I'm sure the Ravens say, you're not here, and we're not good without you. And he's like, yeah, you're not really any good without me. I get both sides of it. But the point being, if he doesn't play this weekend, that's 10 games in the last 2 years that he hasn't played. He was an MVP. We all get that. 2019 gets further and further away in the rearview mirror every game you play. So I think it's a huge deal because I clearly think there's a difference of opinion, maybe not about whether he should be signed, but what the price will be. And at some point, the rubber's got to meet the road. I would do it. I don't have a whole lot of evidence pointing me toward the Ravens being willing to do it, at least not at a price that would make Lamar Jackson happy.
But, Joy, the reason we're talking about this right now is because Lamar Jackson has missed 32 days of practice. That's why it's such an imminent deal. Lamar Jackson, unanimous MVP, Baltimore Ravens locked into the playoffs and have been for the last 3 weeks, but he's missed 32 days of practice. Joy, do you think the Ravens are listening to Dave Helman, not literally but figuratively, and saying to themselves, man, you do miss time? Because just like that, a quarterback can become a injury-prone QB and get that label like Jimmy Garoppolo amongst so many others. Where do you think the Ravens stand on that?
I think they can look at their record without Lamar Jackson and figure it out. I don't believe the guaranteed money is an option. I never have. I've been on this. Not because I don't want him to get fully guaranteed money.
Right.
What difference does it make to me? I just think from a business standpoint, when you pay a certain player so much money and it's all guaranteed, you reach a point of diminished return. Because all of this is allocated to one player who, to your point, if not available, they can't win.
Yeah.
But what's the option? Are you going to, split the money and pay to mid quarterbacks? That's not how this works. You either have your quarterback or you don't. And if Lamar is healthy or healthy enough, maybe you invest more in a better backup quarterback because you're assuming because Lamar is mobile or whatever that he might miss a game or two throughout the season. I would take Lamar for most of the season over most of the quarterbacks in the NFL.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I think about it like this, 2-5, and I want to come to you as we continue this conversation. I'm going to focus on Lamar for a second. I don't think he will play again this season unless he gets the contract done, and I don't think he should play again this season unless he gets the contract done. You know what I hate is when people try to downplay injuries, and we get so used to that in sports. We call a sprained ligament. That's just a sprained ligament. Y'all do realize a sprained PCL means a partially torn PCL. If you have a partially torn piece of paper, it can continue to tear. And so when we talk about a partially torn PCL, if Lamar Jackson goes back out there, it can get worse. Shady, this dawned on me this morning, and I can't wait to hear your response. J.K. Dobbins. He missed all of last season, if I'm not mistaken, with an injury. He had an ACL, LCL, amongst other things. He came back this year, played the first 4 games of the season, then he missed the next 6 games. I saw him recently 2 weeks ago break a long run. I'm sure you watched it because you study running backs.
Look good. Well, when you get banged up and you get injured, right, and you're sidelined for some time, the first question you ask the doctors is, okay, so me or the player, because I'm not playing no more, but the player, the coach, and the doctors, they all meet together, and the question they ask is, okay, so, doc, If he goes out there, can he damage it more?
Yep. Can it get worse?
That's the main question. And in Lamar's case, I don't know that answer. The doctor knows and the head coach knows. But if he can go out there and he can't damage it more, then he should play.
It's a pain tolerance.
And I think a lot, even seeing that video, right, of Dobson running, I think it's more of like being comfortable. I broke my ankle in high school, right? And imagine me like 225, like trying to run people over. I try to adjust to my injury.
Yeah.
But a lot of that was like the mental part. I don't want to hurt it again. I don't want to hurt it again. And then out of nowhere, it just clicks. You just playing, you cutting, you making moves. Same thing with these guys,
JK, yeah.
right? With JK, or even Lamar. Like, you got to go out there and test it out and see how it feels.
It'll be fascinating to watch, but like Dave alluded to, this is one of the biggest and most fascinating stories, not just for the Ravens, but for the entirety of the National Football League.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.